Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start the concept of uniform circular motion as well as the meaning of centripetal and centrifugal forces and their mathematical relation. So, if we talk about the circular motion, it's some kind of a one-sided bounded motion, which means if we are talking about a rod which is bounded from its one end, means its one end is fixed, it is not allowed to move at all, it is only allowed to rotate, but it is not allowed to move, and you are trying to give a velocity to its another end. Let's say we are giving it a velocity v1 vector. So due to this velocity, its position, if I talk about its position, so its position can be observed from the center O or the reference point O. So definitely it will experience two types of forces. One, the force which is trying to accelerate the body from rest to velocity v vector, and the second, the force which is holding the body or the molecular force which is trying to hold the particle on which you are applying or on which you are giving the velocity, means this shaded particle. So ultimately, if this shaded particle is trying to move with velocity v, so it will experience an we can say a perpendicular force from the second particle, which is actually intermolecular force, and this force is actually directing towards the O. You can see, because as soon as this particle tries to move forward, it will try to keep the motion with the second ball, but the second ball is attracting it towards itself with the force of intermolecular interaction or intermolecular attraction force. Intermolecular attraction force. Right now, I am writing it in a very short form. So, this intermolecular attraction force is trying to hold this particle. In the same sense, the second particle is being attracted by the third is being attracted by the fourth. In the same way, continuously, if we go, the all particles they are experiencing an intermolecular force, attraction force, which is directing towards the O center. So there are two possible interactions. One which is responsible to move the particle in forward direction. Second, the intermolecular interaction. So the body will start to move on a resultant path. Means it will not go in a straight path. It will go angularly in this way. The resultant. We know very well the resultant of two vectors. So the body will try to go in this direction. So the whole rod, because this rod is fixed from this end O, this highlighted end O, the whole rod will get shifted in this direction. You can show the whole rod is shifted in this direction. Now the rod is trying to move, this rod is trying to move in this direction with another velocity v2 vector. Why I am saying the another velocity? Because its direction is getting changed. Whatever its velocity is, magnitude is not getting changed, but its direction is getting changed. Still it is experiencing an intermolecular force towards O. This intermolecular force, again it will go resultantly angular in this way. Angular, so the whole rod will get shifted. The same thing I had told you in class 10th, the cause of circular motion. The whole rod will get shifted in this direction. We can represent again by shaded one. This one. So now you can say the rod is trying to move. It is trying to move with velocity v3 vector, where v3 is again, you can say v3 is again equal in magnitude as v2 and v1, but different in direction. Still it is experiencing of intermolecular interaction towards O. Same again it will get a resultant movement in this direction. If I repeat the whole process, every time you will experience some kind of resultant movement. You can see, and finally it will come back on the same point as initial. So it is moving on a circular path. You can see its path is actually circular, and here all velocities by magnitude they are same, v1 vector, v2 vector, v3 vector, and so on. All these velocities, let's say v, this is the tangential velocity or linear velocity component. It can be represented simply like this, that the rod will move on a circular path. If I draw it properly in the visible region, the rod will move on a circular path as represented like this. Center of the circular path O, this rod, the first particle, and its linear velocity component is v by magnitude. So the particle is revolving on a circular path in this way. This is called uniform circular motion if its velocity's magnitude remains constant during the revolution. Keep this thing in your mind. Velocity can't remain constant because its direction is getting changed for each and every point. Its direction would be different. So velocity will not remain same. Velocity's magnitude will remain same if we are talking about uniform circular motion. Keep this thing in mind. For uniform circular motion, let me write it for you. For uniform circular motion, velocity's magnitude will remain constant, not the velocity, because its direction every time is getting changed. So velocity's direction is getting changed, the entire velocity will get changed also. But the magnitude of the velocity, it will remain constant if we are talking about uniform circular motion. So keep this thing in your mind. And what we call this one, intermolecular attraction force, this is already acting towards the center of the circular path. This force is treated as the centripetal force. This force is treated as centripetal force. Keep this thing in your mind. CPF is here, centripetal force. So centripetal force is a force which is directing towards the center of the circular path, and it is the cause of circular motion. Because if intermolecular force becomes zero, the particle will go linearly or tangentially, you can say. So the cause of circular motion is centripetal force, and keep this thing in mind. In itself, it is not a force. It is not a force. It is actually a category of forces. Every that force will be treated as a centripetal force, which is directing towards the center of the circular path and which is causing the circular motion. So I am writing it here. It is not a type of force. It is not a type of force. It is not a type of force. It is a cause, or we can say it is a category of forces. Every that force which is causing circular motion, and directing towards the center of the circular path and directing towards the center of the circular path every that force will be treated as centripetal force. So here intermolecular force is acting as a centripetal force. It is acting as a centripetal force. Keep this thing in your mind. If we talk about nucleus and the electron revolving around the nucleus is positively charged, we know it very well. Electron is negatively charged, and in opposite charges attract each other. So here the nuclear effective force, which is actually an electric force, the force between the charges is electric force. So here electric force is acting as a centripetal force. It is acting as a centripetal force. Keep this thing in your mind. So centripetal force is not a force in itself. Every that force will be treated as a centripetal force, which is causing circular motion and directing towards the center of the circular path. So electric force is acting as a centripetal force. Planetary motion. So around the sun, earth is revolving around the sun. We know it very well. The gravitational force between the sun and the earth, this gravitational force is acting as a centripetal force. This time it is acting as a centripetal force. If you are revolving a stone by tying it with a string in a circular path, the tension in the string is acting as a centripetal force. So keep this thing in mind. Centripetal force is not a type of a force. Every that force will be treated as a centripetal force, which is causing circular motion and directing towards the center of the circular path. This is the basic introduction or basic idea regarding centripetal force. Like when we talk about linear displacement, the rate of linear displacement means the linear displacement with respect to time is called linear velocity. In the same way, when we talk about angular displacement, the angular displacement with respect to time, obviously when a body revolves on a circular path or body moves on a circular path, it takes angular displacement, means it is displaced by an angle. The meaning of angular displacement is, if I talk about angular displacement, it means moment by angle of a body, means when a body is displaced by an angle. When a body is displaced by an angle on a curved path, that displacement is called angular displacement. So it is a kind of an angle simply. So it is represented by theta. Angular displacement is a kind of angle. So it is represented by theta. Keep this thing in your mind. So let's assume a particle is moving on a circular path as being represented here. Center of the circular path, this particle we are talking about, and it is changing its position for a given time from P to Q or P to P dash. Let's say it is changing its position from P to P dash during its circular motion, and its angular displacement during this circular motion is theta in a time t second. So time consumed by the body is t second during this change, and it has been moved over an arc. This arc length is supposed to be s. This arc length is supposed to be s, and the radius of the circular path is supposed to be r. The radius of the circular path is r. So if I talk about the linear velocity, so the linear velocity of the particle, if I say the magnitude of linear velocity is v, I am just talking about magnitude because we are talking about uniform circular motion. So magnitude will remain same. So the linear velocity of the particle, it is being represented by v. So linear velocity is linear displacement s upon t. The linear displacement of the particle s upon t. And if we are talking about a very small displacement, so we can say ds upon dt in a calculus form for a small displacement. Let me draw it for you here. So if we are talking about a very small displacement, so let's say O, P, P dash, small displacement is ds vector, and within a time dt seconds, small displacement is ds in a small interval of time, which is dt. Calculus, we have discussed it already. And the small angular displacement is being represented by d theta. It's a small angular displacement or small angle. Keep this thing in your mind. Radius remains same, that is r. Radius is r. So you can write v is s upon t, or for the calculus form it can be written as ds upon dt. ds upon dt. This is the linear velocity v. Now here comes the question. In the same way like linear velocity, there must be an angular velocity for angular displacement. Means angular displacement with respect to time, like linear displacement with respect to time. So yes, there will be an angular velocity also. Another physical quantity is a new physical quantity for you, which is angular velocity. Linear velocity is the rate of linear displacement or rate of change in position, linear position. Angular velocity is rate of change in angle or angular position. So angular velocity is represented by a symbol which is pronounced as omega. It is pronounced as omega, written as like this, little bit twisted w, small w, not capital. Small w, it is pronounced as omega, and angular velocity is angular displacement upon time. Whatever it is, small or big angular displacement, it is simply angular displacement upon time. So we can make the formula for this. So omega would be, angular displacement is theta here and the time is t. Or for the small angle it can be written as d theta upon dt. d theta upon dt. So this is the formula for angular displacement, and this is the formula for angular velocity. And if I talk about its SI unit, So the SI unit of angular velocity, so SI unit of angle is radian. We know it very well. The plane angle, the angle or angular displacement SI unit is radian and time is second. So SI unit of omega is radian per second. Radian per second, or you can write it radian second inverse. This is the SI unit for omega, angular velocity. Our next target is the relation between angular velocity and linear velocity. Relation between omega and v, and keep this thing in mind that omega is also a vector quantity. Omega is also a vector quantity, angular velocity is also a vector quantity. So let's try to find out the relation between them, and to relate them, let me tell you, in this triangle, in triangle OPP dash, in triangle OPP dash, you can say, or POP dash, whatever you are observing in this triangle or in that triangle, it doesn't matter at all. The generalized formula for angle, which you haven't studied yet, the formula, it's a mathematical formula for angle. An angle or a plane angle is arc upon radius. Actually, I had told you this this formula, arc upon radius, during the definition of plane angle. Plane angle formula is arc length upon radius, or arc upon radius simply. So if I try to implement this formula, so theta would be arc length is S upon radius is R, or in calculus form you can write d theta equals to ds upon R for that small triangle. It would be d theta equals to ds upon R. It's your choice totally that you are using this formula or that formula, calculus form or the general form. Now we know it very well, angular velocity omega is d theta upon dt or theta upon t. We know it very well, d theta upon dt or theta upon t. So you can place the value of you can pay attention that you can place the value of theta or d theta from these two relations, angle equals to arc upon radius. So omega would be, instead of d theta you can write ds upon r into dt, or you can write theta upon theta, instead of theta you can write s upon r, instead of theta you can write s upon r. So s upon r into t. And we know it very well, linear velocity v equals to, linear velocity small v equals to ds upon dt for calculus, and for general s upon t, displacement upon time. So instead of s upon t we can write v, or ds upon dt we can write v. So you will get the finalized outcome, omega equals to v upon r, v upon r, omega equals to v upon r, or you can write v equals to r omega, you can write v equals to r omega. This is the general relation between linear velocity and angular velocity, but in scalar form, not in vector form. If you want to write it in a vector form, it would be, keep this thing in mind, you can follow the cross product concept, that it would be v vector equals to omega vector cross r vector. Keep this thing in mind, it is omega cross r, not r cross omega. V vector equals to omega vector cross r vector. This is the vector form of the relation between angular velocity and the linear velocity.